So it's another day and another day on the E30. So I thought today was going to be a little bit easier. I was like, oh, I'll just come and put this rear polycarbonate Lexan window in. It's the wrong size. I'm pretty sure, because with this whole kit, I've got like an M3 rear C-pillar, and I'm pretty sure that that Lexan window is the right size for the M3 rear C-pillar, and I'm definitely not cutting out the C-pillars on this car to put in fiberglass ones. I'm definitely not going that far. So as of now, this rear window doesn't fit. We also need to install the kevlar roof today as well, so going to be more cutting things, more fiberglass strands and all. Well, this isn't fiberglass, this is actually kevlar, but I suppose it's going to be pain to cut with a grinder again. So if we put it here, it does just fit with a little bit of a gap at the bottom. So we're probably going to have to take a little bit off here so this bit can sit down. But the biggest thing is look how high it comes, so we're going to have to take quite a lot off there, and I think it might be a bit of a pain cutting it down, but it's here, we've got this for free, so we may as well give it a go by cutting it down. The only other option is to order a new polycarbonate window, which I couldn't really find, just have a quick Google search, or we get the standard glass, which is going for around £100, and I've got to find it and pick it up. So for the amount of time it might take me just to cut this down a little bit, you see the angle's pretty right, it's just not right. So the amount of time it might take me just to, you know, cut this and make it to fit is probably going to be less time than it is to go and source a new rear window. So let's get onto that. The fact that this is not going to be a perfect fit, but I really don't care, to be honest. So I need to come about here. I'm going to try and attempt to do a straight line. Cool, I'll tell you what, that's close, that is. We'll be able to get that with a flapping disc. Just need to take off a little bit more on this side, and then we just need to flap this bit down just so it sits a little bit deeper, because you see we've got a little bit of a gap there, a little bit of a gap there. There we go, pretty much bang on now. Obviously it's not absolutely perfect, but it was impossible to get it perfect. But the main thing is that we can bolt it to the top and the sides all the way around, and we can seal it well, and then we can just run a bead of tiger seal down the bottom as well. There's a tiny, it's probably not perfect to get riv nuts all the way along, because we're just a little bit short of this metal here for a riv nut to go through and still have plenty of meat on the plastic, but it's more than enough for me to do it at the top and the sides, and then just run a bead of tiger seal at the bottom as well. So let's get this done, because there's one more thing to tick off the list. So drill all the holes, just making sure that all the bolts do actually go in before we tiger seal. We might just have to extend a couple of the holes a little bit. This one I'm way off, not sure what happened here. Well, I do know what happened here. It was like there's almost not enough room to put any to put the riv nut in and the plastic, so I've just put it as far forward as I can. So we'll just put a riv nut there with a little washer, and that'll grab down that. This one goes in, that one goes in, that one goes in, that one goes in. We've got to extend this one just a little bit wider, just a little bit off, but that's what you get when you're doing windows. It bends, it curves, it's impossible to always get them perfect, so I'm happy with that. Let's just put a bolt in here, make sure that goes in, and then we'll tiger seal it. Done. Now I thought I'd be done with tiger seal, but I'm not. Hopefully after this we were done with the tiger seal, because I'm absolutely sick of getting everywhere. Luckily though, this time we can use gloves. We couldn't use gloves yesterday because obviously we was putting on metal, so it used to just rip the gloves in half. So let's get this over and done with. Let's get this over and done with. This time it was meant to be a dirty-free job. It's not gone like that. I'm covered in it, my hands are covered in it, the car's covered in it. Oh, what an horrible job. I think that's on the inside, yes. I've got to go and clean the inside of the window. Pulling this up before I tighten all the bolts down, otherwise it's harder to get off. But as you see, what a mess I've made. I've made an absolute mess of it. It's just because I can't hold it from the inside, and I'm trying to do it on my own, and it just was not working. So let's tighten them down. Let's hopefully we can clean off some of that shit. Right, while we're still fucking full of shit, full of tiger seal, and why we still got a bit of tiger seal left before it goes off, let's do the roof. I'm not looking forward to this. More cutting. Now this roof actually wants you to, you know, actually replace the skin of the roof. It fits really nice at the back like that. But obviously now it won't fit at the front because obviously you're meant to replace the actual, you know, delete all the spot welds and pull the roof off. I've looked at someone do this job on YouTube and it's took them about 4 days of work to replace like a rusty roof, you know, cutting the spot welds and, you know, pinching it all out and kind of things like that. We're not going to do that. It's just an absolute joke. All we want to do is get some weight out of the car. And even then, like if the roof was on it, I probably wouldn't bother doing this. But as you can see, obviously we've not got a sunroof there anymore. Now what we could just do is we could just put a bit of metal over the top and just rivet it down like I have done with the S13 in the past. But what's the point? We've got this here, so we may as well kind of just do that. So we're not just going to cut a square. We'll cut these bits off, I reckon, and just have it going like this. We could have it going over the back. I might ask Ronnie what he thinks we should do. But we're definitely going to cut this bit off and, you know, and just have it on the roof. So we'll cut a little bit more of the roof off just to remove a little bit more weight. But I'm just gonna either tiger seal this down or rivet this down or probably both. So we're probably either gonna cut one end off. So we're either gonna have it sat in the front and not have it going over the back like that. So we can have it sat in the front like this. I don't know how we're gonna blend this in. Maybe I'll get Q to put a little bit of filler in and paint. I'm not entirely sure. I'm gonna ask one of the guys. See what they say. So I'm gonna cut along here. Something like this. We'll go short first and then it will sit into the roof and it will just come over here, and then we're going to do the same at the back as well. We're going to cut this bit off. Although this bit sits in nicely, it just looks weird. It's going to be weird when it comes to painting it and stuff. So if we just cut it up here, probably come a bit higher, cut that bit off, and then it will just be on the roof then. So let's get cutting. So the roof will sit something like this. Obviously it's still a bit of a jump, but it's a bit less of a jump, and that sits nice and flat now. So I think we're just going to seal it down potentially. Literally just going to seal it down. I think that would be the best thing to do because it sits pretty flat anyway. So a bit of side seal in there and just a few clamps, and that should be sweet. So just pull the sides down, get some clamps on there, pull the side down. So to actually make most of this, we're going to drill out, or we're going to cut out a bit more of the roof. I think that'll be ideal just to get a little bit more weight out. So we'll just make this a little bit bigger and just leave a little bit of a ridge just to get the sealant bonded on here to stick to. So yeah, let's cut a little bit more out of the roof. Let's send it. Yeah, now that was a bit of a pain. But how much is this weigh? Was it worth it? No, I'm joking. It's actually quite heavy. So all we're going to do is just run a bead of tiger seal all the way around, and we're literally just going to push it down to the roof and clamp it down and let that seal. And that's going to be it. Okay, so that's the roof on. We've got various clamps clamping it down with some masking tape. So we're going to let that dry overnight. Now I was initially just going to run the E30 without any dash just because I couldn't be asked trying to make one fit with the cage and everything like that. But I was told that I can't do the drift demos without a dash in. So huge thank you again to Adam. He's actually sent me a dash in here. It's not like a super clean one. He said that it's got a few cracks and things like that, but I don't really give a shit. So in here we've actually got some wipers and we've actually got a dash as well. So they didn't say if it has to be an OEM kind of dash, they just said it has to have a dash. So we're gonna actually try to make the dash fit in here somehow. Probably gonna require a lot of cutting and everything, but I actually don't mind because it gives me somewhere to hide all the wires underneath there before we tidy up the wiring loom. So we've got all the ECU and everything just like dangling in there, and it actually gives us the place to hide them without kind of like just making a kind of like a wall, plastic wall, whatever. So we're gonna unbox this dash and we're gonna see how big it is, and even if it goes in, we are gonna have to take the hydro off probably, but we're gonna have to just see where we can mount it, because obviously the main build of this car is to the drift demo days, and the reason we're rushing this car is because of the drift demo days. So I obviously want to be able to do the drift demo days, so let's unbox this dash and let's see if we can somehow make something work. Here is the dash. It's actually quite small, to be fair. I think what we're going to do is I think we're going to take out these blower motors, because as it stands right now, there's literally nowhere to hide all the wiring. So if we take out these blower motors, which we don't necessarily need, then that's going to give us a lot more space just to tuck some shit up and just cable tie it to the dash. So there's lower fillets here, so we'll take these out, because one thing is, obviously for the summer it's not going to matter, but in the winter in this car when we're drifting, it might steam up the inside. I'm not quite sure yet. I say it's all plastic windows and stuff and things like that, so I'm not sure if it will steam up easier or harder, because then we've got, you know, all the heat can get into the car. So we're gonna have to figure something out in terms of a blower motor onto the dash, but I'm never really gonna need the blower motors onto us. So that's just that's too nice, lads. We don't need that. So we're gonna take all this off, and this will give us a lot more space to just chuck all that wiring up out the way and just cable tie it to the side of this dash. So first of all, let's get the wheel off and let's get these blower motors out of the way. Let's see if this is gonna be easy or an absolute nightmare. Let's see. Oh, what am I sat on? Oh, it's not what I want on my asshole. It's gonna be a bit of a nightmare. Oh. That's okay, it's not a big deal. We can figure it out. I still think it's gonna be too high to hide any of the wires either as well. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Well, we're gonna have to chop it because the cage is in the way. So we're gonna have to cut it. Of course we are. What did I expect? This means, annoyingly, I'm gonna have to cut off the main mounting points. They just won't go in with the cage, so let's try and just cut a little bit off the end, and then let's just go small, then fuck it out, and then go a bit further. Ah, shit. I think I sent it a little bit too hard, boys. I cut way too much off. Oh no. Oh well, it is what it is. You can't argue, there is a dash in here. You can't argue with that. I mean, I've got way too much on that side. Oh no. That's really annoying, that is. Look how much I've cut off. I probably didn't have to cut anything off that side, now this side is in. Right, well, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not lying, there is a dash in here, do you know what I mean? There's still nowhere I can hide the wiring. Fuck's sake. So to put the top of the dash in, I've just drilled 2 holes and we're going to riv nut the dash into the body. What I didn't realise is that when the windscreen is on, I'm not going to be able to get these bolts out. But that's a tomorrow job. Not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so we've got the dash screwed at the back. We kind of want it sitting up like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find something that's, obviously this is probably bolted underneath somewhere, and then I can weld a bracket and make, this, oh no, it's too floppy. Okay, so the plan is I've made a little bracket here, and I'm going to bolt it to the dash, and I'm going to weld it exactly where it is now. It's just pressing against it, and that's going to hold the dash up. Pretty strong as well, to be honest. So let's get the welder out, let's clean this up here, and let's get this welded on, and then we can chop the end off this and just make it a little bit neater, and then we can paint it black, and then bada bing bada boom. Fucking ground shit or what? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our dashboard. Really annoyed that I cut way too long off the end, but it is what it is. At least it's symmetrical, and we painted this and the bolts in there, so that is absolutely solid. So I'm happy with that. Next job is to actually start tidying up these, and I need to get the seat in. We need to do quite a fair bit, to be fair. I ordered a radiator cap today from GSF, and it was absolutely tiny. So I don't know where to get one of these radiator caps. It's 30mm internal diameter. If somebody knows where to get one, please let me know. I just ordered one from GSF and it was way too small, and that was like a Toyota one as well. So I need a radiator cap for here. Again, it's 30mm internal diameter. So if anybody's got one and they want to send me it, please let me know. If anyone knows where to get one, please let me know as well, because right now that's stopping me from, you know, putting the water in and bleeding it in, etc, etc. I have ordered some quick release bumpers for the bumper as well, so that can go on next. Other than that, I don't really know what much more there is to do. I've done the roof, I've done the window. Now we just need to get the wheels sorted, to be honest. I need to put the coilovers on the front, which we will do in the next episode. After that, bumper, coilovers, radiator cap. Other than tidying up the wiring, there really isn't that much to do. Other than putting the bonnet on. We need to do that, I forgot about that. We need to put the bonnet on so we're getting it painted. And finding the windscreen. So we need to get hold of like Auto Glass or somebody like that to get the windscreen on, because it's just not really worth doing it myself and picking up some glass. Although I've been told that Auto Glass don't really do the windscreens for these. I guess there's one phone call and we'll find out. But I know there's a guy up north and he's apparently selling some windscreens. So at least then I have the glass, and worst case we'll just tiger seal it in ourselves. But for now I can't really do much. It's absolutely boiling outside, so I'm going to take the motorbike call. And so for now, love you all. We'll see you in the next one. Also, I have spoke to a guy who's breaking an LS400, and he's sending me the plug that I need for the LS400 dash. Remember the one at the start where I ended up cutting it off by accident? Well, I've actually got one, but I don't know exactly where it goes into the loom, so we're gonna have to wire it in again. But to wire it in again, I'm gonna have to find where it came from, because it's on a different part of the loom than the rest of the dash plugs. So we have options there to have, you know, RPM, and our speeder won't work, but RPM and things like that. But if not, I have got gauges in there. So I've got 3 gauges in there. I've got coolant temp, oil pressure, and an RPM gauge. So it would be easier just to have the dash in there. It probably might look a little bit nicer, but I have got manual gauges in there as well. So for now, I can't do much more. I'm absolutely boiling. I need a shower. I love you all. We'll see you in the next one.